Cheers, everybody. Welcome to the live. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. It is Thursday, right? It is Thursday. We're going to be doing a live tonight with Philip from Some Making Required, newer brush maker in the space. So I just wanted to bring him on, so shed some more light on his company and his technique and his artistry, because I think he deserves it. So we're going to wait for Philip himself. What's going on, Hector? Lion's Choice, Stuck Fat, what's going on, everybody? Waiting on the man himself. There he is.
Hey
What's
there.
up, brother?
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Can you hear me okay? I think I'm out in my garage and I'm worried that my Wi-Fi is a little
Oh, no,
sketchy.
you sound fine. Everything's good.
Awesome. Awesome.
How you doing this
Thanks for having
evening?
me on.
Oh, my pleasure, man. We're going to wait for a few more people to join, and we'll kind of get down to business.
Sounds good.
Hey, Chris, good to see you. Coyote Cuts, good to see you, everybody. How was your day today?
Oh man, it was good. I split my time between two offices, and one of them's close to my house, and today I got to do that, which is always a bonus. Otherwise, I'm driving like an hour and a half sometimes to work about 2 to 3 times a week. So,
Oh,
but
man. So what do you do for a living?
I'm a creative director for a large auto finance company in the Metroplex, Dallas Metroplex. And
Okay,
so
and you're in Dallas, Texas, correct?
I am. I'm in actually in Denton, which is why I drive. It's just about an hour north. Traffic is what makes it that long, but it's
Oh,
30 minutes if
man,
there's no traffic.
an hour, almost an hour and a half, man. I could not do that. I'm sorry, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, well, I've been blessed. I do get to work in our local office. Hey, Danny, I see you on there. Um, I have an office in the Denton area, which allows me a couple times a week to work real close to the house, which is
Well,
which is
that makes it
nice.
convenient.
Yeah, yeah,
That is
absolutely.
nice. Well, we're getting a little crowd started here. You know, it's a Thursday night. I know people are busy, and I don't expect a lot of people to be on. But I just want to bring you on because, number one, when I saw your brushes, I think it was back in May when you started posting brushwork,
That's right.
and immediately started seeing your work and thought, man, is this guy a newbie? Because your work just reflected just how it was good, great quality. I loved the designs you had. I liked the quality of the work you had, and it just looked like you had obviously you've known what you've been doing for quite some time. So I don't mean to babble, but let's just give everybody a backstory on you and how you started and your craft.
Sure. It's funny. So I've done woodworking for years, probably I guess like 13, 14 years.
Okay.
Prior to my kids being born, I have four. But
Me
when my
too. Me
first
too.
came, when my first came, let me turn up my volume here. When my first came, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be the dad who's out in the shop while my wife is pulling a second shift over the weekend and working all weekend long. So I sold everything, and for the past, I guess nine years, my garage was empty. And then
Hmm.
about a year ago, I did a gig where I was building out a trade show booth for a woodworking software company. And I was at this woodworking fair, and I kind of was walking around looking at all these toys again. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got to get back into this. And now my kids are old enough and I can drag them into the shop with me and also
Nice.
I started picking up things again, buying a little bit here, buying a little bit there. Fast forward to about, what was it? I guess February. My buddy Danny, his wife reached out to me. She said, "Hey, she's been following me on Instagram, and Danny had been following me on Instagram, and she said, "Hey, my buddy Danny, he's into wet shaving, and he has a number of brushes and a shaver, and he needs a stand." And she's like, "Can you make one for his birthday?" And I was like, "Sure." So I never touched wet shaving until that time, and so I
Really?
was like, yeah, that was my first introduction to it. I didn't know that. I mean, I'd seen it before, but I didn't know that that it was such a large community out there who just really enjoyed this. And so, anyway, my buddy, he's really into guitars too, and so I have the first one that I made.
Oh,
this is
wow.
based off of a PRS hollow body guitar because he has a PRS and he loves that thing. And
Are there
anyway,
pearl inlays in
that's
there
the
too?
F hole, right there for the hollow body.
Yeah.
And then I've got mother of pearl inlay
Oh,
and all
beautiful.
that. Anyway, so shaver hangs here, brush hangs right there. So made that for him. I was like, sweet, tell me more about this wet shaving business. So he started telling me about it. He showed me like a handful of guys out there, Rob and Grizzly and a handful of others. And I was like, gosh, man, these things are beautiful. Like, it just really impressed me. So it kind of
Yeah.
captured me first as a craftsman. I was just looking at it thinking,
Sure.
man, these are beautiful. I want to make these. So come May this year, when you were noting it, I bought a lathe for the first time and was like, I'm going to go take a class, make sure I don't rip my fingers off. And I went to business. I went to town. I started making them. And then Danny's wife reaches out to me again. And she's like, hey, Father's Day is coming. Could you make him a brush? So I was like, sure. So I turned out, I think it's number 8. It was a Texas ebony and olive wood handle. If you go way down in my feed, you'll still be able to find it. And made that for him. And it just kind of kept going from there. I just kept making them and making them. And then I think it was Reyes from Reyes Restore, or I guess it's JR, reached out to me. I did a Texas ebony handle, and he's like, oh man, he's like, you got me with that Texas ebony. He says, being a Texan, I feel this one needs to come home. And that was my first person to ever reach out to me on Instagram and be interested in buying something. And it just kind of like slowly moved from there. And I opened up an Etsy shop, and I've just been turning ever since. And I've been Rob, from That Darn Rob has just been like a phenomenal resource. That guy's been awesome to me, just sharing a lot of kind of tricks of the trade, I guess, if you will.
Yeah,
He
sure.
helped me get into the whole resin game. I hadn't been doing resin up until this point, I guess it's been like about maybe a month,
Couple months, month or
maybe
so,
a month and a
yeah.
half, something like that. So I started doing resin, which has been so much fun. I mean, I absolutely love it. And so I don't know. I look at it just kind of like this is an art form, and I just really enjoy making them for the art of it. And then as a result, I've been talking with the guys in the community, which has been really cool because I just feel like this group is just a really welcoming bunch.
Absolutely.
I'm super new. I don't know anybody, and as soon as I started asking questions, it's like, oh man, you want to learn about wet shaving, and they just kind of like dump all this information on me. And I think it was it was Jeff over at Shave J, and he was like, hey man, I'm gonna send you a bunch of stuff. And so my first shaver came from him. He sent me a Mercure 34C and I think another vintage Gillette or something like that, and then a handful of soaps and stuff like that. And so as you can see, I'm kind of a
it's a magnificent beard, I'll tell you that.
But these guys up here and this underneath here, that's getting hit by the shaver pretty frequently. So anyway, that's kind of how I got into this game, and I've just been having a blast with it. It's been a lot of fun getting to know all the people on Instagram, and of course, like getting to reach out to you. You've been really, really cool to me, and I really appreciate it. It's been kind of neat just seeing how cool everybody is. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a great community, and hey, just everybody who's joined, I see you there. I see you saying hi, Colonel Conk, Mike from Colonel Conk. We got Heather, the Soap Queen here. We got Hector, Slaves to Shave. I want to make sure I address all you guys. I'm glad you guys all dropped by this evening. But that's one thing I noticed about you. And JR is a stud. He's an amazing resource when it comes to restoring and just wet shaving in general. He's the genius when it comes to it. He's been a big help to me as far as learning how to get into wet shaving and all the different products. And I think, matter of fact, I want to say he was the one that turned me on to you, because I think roughly around the same time I had discovered you, but he was like, man, you've got to check out this guy. He's a quote unquote newbie, but based on his work, it doesn't look like newbie work. And that's not trying to, degrade anybody who's starting off turning brushes, but there is a clear clear definition of somebody who's just turning and somebody who knows what they're doing. And there are some people that you can tell just like, they're making the effort, but the shapes just don't look right. The ergonomics don't look right. But you were putting stuff out from the beginning that was just like, hot damn, man, this guy just has some clean lines. They're contemporary. And it just really impressed me. And that's why I wanted to get to know you better and bring you on here.
I appreciate that. I'm kind of leveraging my unfair advantage. I've been a designer for about 15 plus years. And so I'm kind of pulling in that long history of knowledge that I've pulled from just designing for all these years. And I make everything from, print pieces to physical stage props to full stage builds. Me and Danny work at the same company, and we build these massive stage productions for sales meetings, and we're having to design for physical spaces. And so I've become all my life I've just been really spatially oriented, like just being able to see the lines in something, before it's made. And so I feel like that's just kind of been a real blessing to me when I started getting into the lathe. It came so natural. I mean, what's kind of cool about turning is just when it comes to woodworking, it's one of the, I would say, has the lowest barrier for entry for a lot of people, because you can just pick it up, and if you make a mistake, you just kind of turn that away and you just keep on going.
Kind of go with it,
and you just got a new shape, and you kind of walk away pleasantly surprised. And so I've just kind of been learning by mistakes. I got a bucket over here on the ground that's got.
Oh, I think you're breaking up just a little bit. We're gonna wait for your Wi-Fi to kick back on here.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Oh, hold on. You're back. There you are.
My back? Okay. Anyway, I was saying I've got like a bucket down on the floor over here that's probably got about 10 or so handles in it that didn't make the cut. Either they blew up on the lathe, hit me in the face while I'm turning, something fun like that. But I'm just learning as I go, and I've been blessed to have a lot of people who have just been offering up good tips and advice, and I don't know, I'm having a great time with it. So, are you losing me again?
You're breaking up. You're breaking up a little bit. I'm losing you again a little bit. I can kind of hear you. You're moving just a little bit.
Let me see if I can get a little closer to my Wi-Fi.
Okay? No worries. Take your time. Take your time.
Let me see.
I'll let you know when things clear up a little bit.
All right. I'm a little closer over here. Does that help at all?
Well, your voice sounds better, but
the videos.
There we go.
Out?
I think we're getting a little bit better. Okay. Yes, Heather, check him out. But like you were saying, so you just recently started turning. Now, I've always been handy. I do. I run a luxury student housing complex for Washington University students. I've always been very handy. I like to remodel. I like to build things from scratch. If you've seen my vanity in any of my shave videos, that was all built from a piece of plywood and some tile that I bought. So I enjoy that. And my grandpa was a woodworker when he retired. I have a lot of stuff from him still, so I really appreciate the craft. And when I see somebody put something together so well like you do, that really makes me want to get into the hobby too. But I don't know where to start. And, I'm a little overwhelmed, and I don't think that there's so many great people out there already making brushes that I don't think that's something I need to necessarily get into. Sure. But when I see somebody like your work, I wanted to bring you on and just kind of let other people get introduced to you and figure out what you do and the type of brushes you have. Now, I was looking at your website earlier this evening. You still have some wood brushes on there, but have you switched mainly to acrylic, or are you just kind of jumping back and forth?
Right now, I have limited time. This is very part-time for me, and so I've been moving more towards the resin just because honestly it's easier to produce. Okay. When I started doing wood, I started getting into resin stabilization of the wood because I know that there's a little bit of a fear buying a wood handle. Is it going to get is water going to get into it? Is it going to damage it? Sure. I try to use woods that are more dense. Texas ebony is one of my favorites because it's so dense that it will sink in water. Yeah, it's just a super solid stuff. And then cocobolo, things like that are like really oily woods also are just naturally repellent to water. But there's still a little bit of reservation out there. Plus, I think people just really enjoy the variety and color that comes with with, you know, the resins, you know, and you can be so playful with it. I feel like a color chemist just messing around, you know, creating different things. And it kind of tickles the artist in me, just trying to figure out what to do next. And so I'm constantly playing, coming up with new color palettes and all. And so it's just been a lot of fun. So I have moved more towards that, but I'm not abandoning it. In fact, I'm doing one for my brother-in-law over this weekend. That's going to be kind of a hybrid. You know, the upper piece is going to be resin, and the lower part of the handle will be wood. So I'm trying to play around with that to, you know, I don't know. I can only produce about, you know, 7 maybe every couple of weeks. It's just a matter of time. Like I said, I've got 4 kids, and so I really want to make sure that I'm not just dad in the shop. I'm dad elsewhere. So,
oh, no, absolutely. So all your resin blanks, you're pouring all those?
I am now. Early on, there's a couple still left in my shop. They're the faux horn handles. I did not pour those, but pretty much everything from the past month and a half, I started pouring myself. And it's been a blast. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I poured a couple more last night that I'm looking forward to turning. So I've got some copper and black that I'm playing around with right now, and it should be some fun.
That's awesome. Hey, Mel. Mel just said he loves your handles. Smiles for Miles, another great brush turners here. Lifetime Studios, awesome pours and handles. Feel amazing. That's awesome. So my question for you is, now when it comes to your handles have a very unique shape. And I mean that in a good way. They have these modern, like clean, crisp lines. Are you going off some kind of blueprint, or when you go to turn something, how does the shape end up the way it is?
Honestly, I feel like, and my wife asked me this the other day, she's like, do you think about it, you plan it before you start doing it? And I was like, no. I put the blank on there, and it kind of just like comes out of the blank. And that's mostly how I work. I'll come in with an idea sometimes. I'll have like I want to go back and maybe do another one of these again. But a lot of it's just like exploration. You know, I feel turning is much like turning a pot, you know, except for reductive instead of, you know, additive or whatever. You're just you're revealing what's on the inside. And that's what's so fun about it. I think what I enjoy about it is you know, in about 30 minutes, you started with something that was nothing, you know, and you just kind of you turn away, and eventually you've got yourself, you know, this beautiful thing in hand that's fully finished pretty much. And it's so anyway, that's kind of it. Is I'd like to say
Heather said, do you think about ergonomics or only design?
Oh, for sure. I have in my mind, I'm starting to lose your video. It looks like, okay, there you are. You're back, I think.
Oh, it's okay.
Ergonomics are definitely front of mind in that I think about how you're going to handle that brush all the time while I'm doing it. I have certain parameters like in my mind that have to be met in order to do it. But then other than that, it's kind of fair game for exploration and fun. So.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I got other people joining. What's up, Chase? Good to see you back here, Chase. It's been a while since you've been on one of my lives. Good to know. Hey, what's up, Paul? Good to see you. So, what made you want to turn to resins?
Part of it was just, you know, I feel like I was kind of missing out on all the fun, you know. So,
there's endless possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, it really is limitless. I'm my next step is I see some of these other guys who are, you know, capturing things inside of the resin. I'm probably going to venture into that at some point. There's just the opportunity for creativity is really vast. I think what's so fun about it for me is, you know, I'm a designer, like I said, a graphic designer by trade, and a lot of it is, you know, prescriptive, not prescriptive, but just like you're taking a request from a business who's needing something, and you're trying to serve them to the best you possibly can to give something that will prop up their brand and give them the very best you possibly can. It's not about you, it's about them.
Absolutely.
What's fun about doing this is that it's about both of us. You know, I think about, you know, who's going to be holding this brush? They're going to be enjoying the experience of it when they look at it and turn it. How are they going to feel? And then I think about, man, what's it? You know, like how fun is this to be able to express my art in these objects, you know? And so it's really
it's a form of self-expression.
What's that?
It's a form of self-expression.
Yeah, it gives me an artistic outlet, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, graphic design, there's a lot of freedom for your art to be, you know, seen in there as well, but it's more about your client. You want to really take care of them and make sure that their needs are met over yours. And
well, that brings me to my. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
I was going to say my next question was then if it's about the client, do you do custom orders, custom brushes? Is that something you've looked into?
I've been asked that a couple of times now, and I am considering it softly. Part of this is really, again, I'm not opposed to it. In fact, I love it when people like say, "Hey, have you thought about doing this?" I think the other day Nate reached out and he's like, "Hey, man, what do you think about a film noir kind of themed feel? You know, with blacks and whites and red, you know, and all that."
Yeah.
And so I've been kind of that's kind of spinning around in my head. I'm good with those types of things at this moment. I think because of the limited amount of time I have to put on this,
sure.
and the fact that this is like a creative outlet for me, I won't say no, but I am kind of hesitant to take on much when it comes to custom work. I've taken some on outside of turning. And
okay.
I'll tell you what, like every time I do it, like I took on a few projects recently, and I take them on. I'm like, I'm on the phone, and I know in my mind, don't do this, you know. And then I'm like, yes. and then I hang up, and I go,
what did I get myself into?
you know,
Smiles and Miles Customs. Go ahead. I was reading the comments.
Sure. It's not because I don't want to take care of customers and have fun with that. It's just when I'm doing about 7 or so of them in a couple weeks, it's just really my time is so limited. And you feel under the gun now to deliver a product that's very specific to the specifications that person has asked for, and it makes you a little more anxious, you know, while you're working on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I know eventually I'll get there where I feel good about that. And I think also too, just with more repetition of doing this, feeling that sense of like, yeah, I can crank these out and to a specification more easily. There's a lot of freedom right now though, in just doing it like an art, you know, piece of art, and it's just an expression, you know, that I'm enjoying. So right now,
that's great. Well, and I get 100% where you're coming from, but I will tell you from what I have seen from you, custom work would be amazing. Me personally, I would love to get a custom brush from you.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to pressure you, but it's something that I would think that you should consider if you have time. And one thing that I've noticed is that, you know, there seems to be kind of not necessarily trends, but well, I guess they are kind of trends. You know, you get the wood brushes, you get the resin brushes, but one thing that has really caught my eye recently is like the hybrids between the wood and the resin. Has that something you've been considering?
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, I have one. In fact, I've got the pieces ready to go. I just need to glue them up together. I am doing a brush for my brother-in-law for his father for Christmas, and I'm gonna kind of experiment and figure that out. So if I mess it up, I'll just make another one, and I know that he's patient with me, and I'll get it done for him. But yes, I am exploring that. I'm super. Every time I go into my local hardwood dealer, I keep walking by this burl wood, and I just want to buy it so bad. But it's like $80 for a chunk, like that big, you know. So you're like, oh my gosh, like if I screw this up, they're just, you know, that's $10, that's $15, you know.
That's part of the fun. I mean, it's a little scary, but it allows you to adventure. Chase said wood resin handles are ridiculously amazing. They are, Chase. And that's another thing too, is I've noticed too, especially with my buddy Riley over at First Line Shave, is there's a lot of people when they go to release a new soap set that they usually will tend to go with a brush maker. and they will release a certain limited amount of brushes that match that particular set. Is that something you've thought about as doing as well? Would that be something you'd be
Yeah,
interested
I
in?
would love to. I'd love to down the road collaborate with somebody. I think that would be a lot of fun. I could definitely get into that. I've seen a number of brush makers who've collaborated with a soap maker, and I think that'd be a cool opportunity.
That's
I
awesome.
think I think I'd definitely be open to that.
Awesome. Jennifer from Decadent Bubble Company is here. Hey, good to see you. I know you stopped on real quick. I think today's your birthday, so happy birthday. But I want to talk to you off camera because there's something I want to propose to you as far as maybe a possible custom collab.
Okay.
Now, you had also posted something a while ago with a vacuum chamber, and that's kind of what really piqued my interest. It got my inner nerd out. What were you putting in a vacuum chamber? What were you trying to do?
So when you're stabilizing wood, you're basically impregnating it with resin, and
Okay, so you're taking all the air in
part
it
of
and
that
it's absorbing
process
all
is
the
to
resin?
you submerge the wood in that resin bath, and you suck all the air out, and it pulls air out of the handle, out of the wood, and it's astonishing actually how much air is inside of those things. I have had it under
Yeah.
vacuum for probably 12 to 14 hours, and air is still coming out of the wood. It's just amazing. But anyway, what it ends up doing is that once you cook it I have a toaster oven over here. Once you cook it, it solidifies that resin and then basically plasticizes the wood and making it perfectly stable to outside environment. You can, get it fairly wet and not worry about ruining your handle. I haven't tested it and see how long could you submerge it, but I think under any kind of normal use, it basically takes the fear of a wooden handle away by stabilizing that wood, which is cool. So anyway,
Okay.
that's what I was using that for.
That's very cool. So what have you found now that you've started doing these wet shaving brushes? What have you noticed in the community that has maybe been a hurdle for you as far as getting your name out there, showing people that you have good quality? What is it that you have found that has made it difficult for you to make a name in the community?
I mean, I think it's like any new product. I'm an unknown right now, and I've had a number of guys who have been very, very supportive. George has bought a number of brushes from me. Nate, Mel, Ben. I don't have all their handles on here, but those guys, I've had a number who have been really avid supporters of my work and have been honestly they've been kind of a mouthpiece for me, which has been really cool. And I've seen them. It does help, and I've been really grateful for it. And you now reaching out to me and allowing for me to have this kind of opportunity. It's just a process of getting out there organically like this, and it kind of feels more me anyways to do it in this fashion. I try not to force things, but I think it's just awareness.
Sure.
I don't know how else to escalate this any faster. It's just more like building a trust. People look at it and say, okay, yeah, I've handled it. I've used these things. This guy knows what he's doing. They're great handles. The finish is good. I can't express to you how anal I am about the fit and finish of my handles. There's so many. My wife looks at me. She's like, I don't see the problem. Like, what? And
Well, that's every artist, and anyone who takes pride in their work is always going to find something wrong with it.
yeah, but I'm like, I can see it, and it drives me nuts. And so I'm either futzing with it to get it fixed until it's fixed, or it's in the red bucket over here. It end up scrapping. I'll probably end up chewing those things up and put them into a handle one day, so
Sure.
It'll be fun.
So what do you, for people who don't know you very well, and obviously I have a feeling people are going to be checking out your page after this to kind of see who you are and check out your work, what is it you want people to know about your brushes that maybe stand out from the rest of the crowd?
So there's a lot of great brush makers out there that I absolutely just respect their work. And I think the thing that what I was mentioning before, the thing I think I'm really good at is I understand design to a very high degree, and I understand what good form should look like, and I pour
Sure.
all that into my handles. And the fit and finish of my brushes, like I said, I don't let imperfections fly by. I really enjoy the process of making a good quality thing, because I like owning good quality things, and so
Sure.
I want to make sure that whatever goes into their hand is going to be the best possible thing they can put in their hand. And then I also really work hard at the experience. What's it like getting one of my brushes? I make my own boxes too. So like
Oh, nice.
in my other studio, I think I'm losing you. Hopefully you're still there.
You're coming back. You're coming back.
Okay, cool. I cut my own boxes. I do, like, I have a laser in there, and I do all my own boxes. So when you get a brush from me, literally everything except for the coin in the back end of the handle has been made by me. I also deliver there's little nice things that I throw in the box. A few of these guys can attest to that. I always like to give more to my customer than they expected. And so you'll always find a little gift in there from me on top of what you ordered. And so to me, it's all about experience, because that's why I feel like the wet shaving community is so excited and fanatical about what they have, is that they're experiencing the fragrances, they're experiencing what's it feel like on my face, what's the packaging look like. It just feels good. And you buy beautiful brushes because you like what it feels like to have that brush in your home, and you love picking that particular one up. Today I feel like that TDR brush over there, or today I feel like that Grizzly brush, or you have these. It creates these emotions in you that you really enjoy. And so I like to bring that to my work, and I'm super obsessed about that. And I love creating just awesome experiences. So, and I'm super open to critique too.
From what I've seen, it really shows in your work. Heather had mentioned a minute ago, she goes, who are some of your favorite brush makers that you look up to?
So Rob is kind of I told him the other day, I said, man, you're like the benchmark for me. Because, he really cares about quality. He delivers a great product. I've seen, like, when he has a flaw, he doesn't send it out the door. There's, I think, one time where he sent one out, but he gave it away for free to somebody who'd never wet shaved before. And I love that about him. Grizzly produces just a really beautiful. He has just a consistency to his work that I really appreciate. I think it's Lang City. I think
Lancaster or Lang City?
Yeah, amazing work. I respect all theirs. I don't know. I follow a number of these guys, and I just love seeing the creativity that goes into their product. And I'm like, I look at something, I'm like, oh man, like how did you do that? Like it inspires me to challenge myself to move into other areas. So definitely, there's a lot of really awesome guys. Yes, Lancaster, thank you.
Lancaster. Yeah. Well, that's great, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on, is because one thing is I noticed when I first started seeing, even back when you were just doing wood, is that your styles were so contemporary, modern, with sleek lines and crisp, everything. And it just really spoke to me that, if I look at a shave of the day, which I see multiple photos throughout the day, I can almost pick out when it's your brush because it stands out from the rest. And that's, a major compliment, because I think what you're bringing to the community is great. And I think more people should know about it.
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. That's high praise, and I appreciate that.
So
you're
what do you,
right.
what do you want to?
I'd be remiss to mention, was it Declaration, Turn and Shave, Dogwood? Gary, man, you're absolutely right. Those are all. I look at them too. Those are definitely inspirational for me.
So where do you want to be a year from now? Where do you want to be a year from now? Do you want to be just doing brushes? Are you continuing to expand your lineup, or where do you want to take your company a year from now?
Oh, for sure. So I started doing this really because I was looking at my children, and I was looking at kind of the absence of shop class and other physical capability, like tangible skill sets in schooling. Our kids are growing up now not knowing how to do something for themselves. And I personally really enjoy it. And so my hope, as I raise 4 kids, is is that my kids will be able to walk away with a capability, something that you can't just go order online, I can do it myself. You can order it, I guess, but what I mean is like, there's a confidence and a comfort that comes in knowing that if I wanted to, I can fix that, or if I wanted to, I can make that. And my kids look at me right now because they're 9 and under, and they go, "Dad can make anything," and I love that. But I want them to feel that same kind of confidence in themselves. And so I started this, and the reason I named my company Some Making Required is because I found it's kind of tongue in cheek against the idea of like some assembly required. And
yeah, I like that.
This notion that, I go to IKEA and I assembled something and I made it, and it's like, no, that's not the same as
crafting it yourself,
something raw and crafting it into something, usable and beautiful. And so my hope is to pass that along to my kids, this enjoyment of getting your hands into the materials and making something yourself. I'm totally a proponent of, if they want to go to a trade school down the road, I would be totally very happy about that, because I feel
absolutely,
like those are things that will have stability down the road that maybe some other jobs just won't. I'm also a fan of higher education as well. I worked in a university for many years, in housing, by the way, I just want that to be like the options are open to them. Hopefully I'm not losing you. There you go. I see you back. So anyway, the goal long term is I'm trying to show proof of concept here. People look at what I can do and they say, "Oh yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. He can make these things." I want to make these handles. I probably will never stop making these handles because I enjoy it so much. But there'll be other product lines. I'm trying to find tangential things to add on that makes sense to connect to wet shaving that allow me to kind of expand out beyond it. I started doing these little prototype wet shaving stands that kind of snap apart and lay flat that you can put into your DOP kit. I've been sending it out to a few guys who have ordered like 2 and 3 handles from me, just to see if they like it. So I think George posted one the other day in one of his Shave of the Day when people are asking him, "What do you travel with?" And he posted that. So I'm exploring other things. I'd love to get into DOP kits themselves. What makes a great DOP kit for a wet shaver? There's other little things that I'm getting into. I woodwork, I sew, I make pretty much, if it's something that you can make with your hands, I'm gonna get my hands in it and try to figure out how to do it. I gotta get into it all. So I could see it kind of expanding into a lot of different things. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question real well, but
no, absolutely, that's great, and that's kind of what I was hoping for.
I'd like to get into the educational piece of it as well. Down the road, really would love to do, either a combination of like little instructionals or how-tos that you can download, and then I'd also love to do videos kind of showing people how to do this. Some of it centered around kids because I want my kids to get in on this, and then the other bit just around adults who are also found that they never had this and they would love to get their hands in some hands-on learning to figure out how to do something and take away that fear of entry. I think a lot of it comes with this is I don't know what to buy. I don't know, it looks so hard. And so, yes, some of it, there's skill level that comes with a vast amount of time and experience, but there's so much you can do for yourself now that it doesn't take a lot to get into making a thing for yourself. And there's so much pride that comes into being able to do that. And I'd love to be a part of that for people.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what, like I said, really made me gravitate towards you is your presence in the community, and with your skill and your confidence, it shows that you put a lot of pride behind it. And if I have one thing that I want to ask from you is I would like you to start doing more videos of your term process. I find it super satisfying. It's something that I've never dabbled in personally. I love watching people do the craft and do their work. So if you have the time, I would love to see your turn process. Something to think
Yeah.
about, not necessarily a YouTube page, but maybe do a live. I think that darn Rob does it occasionally. I'd like to see him do it more too. But just something to show you take a block of wood or resin and turn it into a masterpiece. That's what I would really like to see from you.
Oh yeah, it's on my list of things to do. In fact, I literally learned how to turn a handle by watching one of Rob's videos.
Nice.
I was like, how deep is the socket? And I was watching him stick his finger in there, and I was like, okay, yep, that's about how deep it is. Anyway, I find those videos hugely instrumental, and I would kind of be remiss if I didn't, pour back and allow other people to see behind the curtain, like how things are made. And that,
Sure.
like I said, that's a long-term thing for me. And I'll probably get into that pretty quick when it comes to Instagram. Start posting some process videos, because I love watching process. It just fascinates me to see how things come about. And so I'm definitely in for that.
That's cool. Now, slightly off topic, you were mentioning
Sure.
you like watching the process videos. Do you watch any restoration videos on YouTube? There's a guy called Hand Tool Restoration, TSY Tube, all those guys that take old stuff and they sandblast it and rebuild it from the ground up.
Yep.
Do you ever watch those?
Oh yeah.
Love those guys.
Oh yeah. Parts and Restoration is another one of them that I
Yep.
check
Watching
out.
too.
I just redid a vintage hand plane that was just totally rusted out. I totally brought it back to life again. I have that sitting over in one of my drawers over here. So I love doing that. It's kind of fun. I love watching guys like what's his name? Bob Claggett over at there's Make Something, and then there's another one that is off the top of my head. I can't remember the handle, but I watch a ton of these YouTube videos because I just love seeing these guys get after it.
Yeah, and breathe new life into old stuff. That's great. Well,
Yep.
Philip, this has been fantastic. If there's anything else you want to mention about your company or put your name out there, the red carpet is yours. So this is your time to talk about yourself and tell people why they should look at your website and and
Sure.
consider buying one of your brushes.
I mean, right now I still have, I think I've got about 8 handles, 8 resin ones, and then probably about 5 or 6 wood handles that are still available. I denote when I have stabilized the wood. So if you see stabilized on there, it means that process I described earlier. I
Okay.
still have a number of those there. Come next week, I think Tuesday, I'm going to drop probably another 5 to 7 handles. So those will be coming soon. So yeah, I've got a lot of great stuff sitting out there. Hey, I see Teton Shaves. Love that guy's work as well. Those Christmas handles were amazing. So
Yep.
anyway, I've got a number out there still, and then I've got a number that are coming, probably, like I said, 5 or 7 that are going to come this coming Tuesday. So hopefully I'll be
Awesome.
turning over the weekend. But yeah, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to chat with you. It's been nice getting to do a little face-to-face.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
No problem. That's why I enjoy these. I do this to, shed light on the newer companies or people who are trying to get into the community and people that I see value and quality in their work. And you stood out to me, and I'm glad we were finally able to get this going.
Yeah, it's been great. I'd love to do it again. So
Definitely.
I really
We'll
appreciate
definitely
it.
set it up again. Thank you again. I appreciate it, Philip. And if anything else, we'll have a good night.
Okay, thank you for everybody. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it as always. I hope you enjoyed this live. If you do, please let me know. Send me a message, and I'll talk to you again later. Love you all.